Wabba! Kuma! Elfonsa Esanoy.
Hello, thanks for stopping by the channel. My name is LynzloByChoice and I build in The Sims 4 and we are building one house that took me so long. This is for a family who has a large family visiting for Harvestfest. And I really like this because it's a blend between like a more modern look but with a traditional design. And so I really wanted to play off of that. We have beautiful colors throughout this and a lot of fall decorations. I'm sure you can see by the thumbnail, but if you want to, there are screenshots in the end if you want to see the ending result. But until then, I'm going to give you some more details on building this house and where my inspiration came from, because I love this. I wanted to get a jump on it. I actually built this like a few weeks ago because I was so excited about fall and, you know, going to see family for Harvestfest. And I honestly just wanted to share that with you. So ultimately, I did have somewhat of like a guide because I did see a house similar to this on Pinterest, but I did make a lot of changes. Like the thing over to the side, we have a very open archway that I end up adding. I do end up changing the color scheme. So with this, we have white and, you know, this brown, rich brown, almost orangey kind of color, and then also paired with some blue. And then in the back, I do end up adding a sunroom, and I end up using some of the things from one of our kits. So I really love the way that this turned out. It took me some time on the outside because I had, you know, an inspiration picture, but then this wasn't just a traditional house. This was for a specific event or holiday, which is Harvestfest. So I really had to tailor it to that. And with doing so, I decided to go with more of a more rundown kind of feel to express that, you know, a lot of things are happening. And you could see that with what I'm adding now, which is a bunch of greenery, some vines everywhere. But then also I do end up adding a bunch of pumpkins and things like that. And there's some leaves. Again, you'll see a lot of it throughout this video, but I do want to add that. And you have to have a fireplace. In cold weather like this, it's kind of essential, and I don't want to take away from that. So I definitely had to add a fireplace, and then we spent some time working on the inside. I did not want to keep the floor plan in the video because I do go in and, you know, build in every room. So it's like, as I'm talking, I'll show you what we have going on. So this is the main floor, and as soon as you walk in, you get a foyer, and it's 2 levels tall, which I actually really love. And then you walk straight in, and it's more of like a transitional point in the house. So you can go to the right and go to the kitchen, or you can go to the left and you can go straight to the dining room, and then straight ahead you have the living room entrance. But again, you'll see that a little bit later. With the pumpkins, I did have to go into debug, and I used some of the pumpkins that we got from the cottage living expansion pack, and then some we got from the seasons. And the one that we got from seasons are the 3 ones that you see. It's like a large one, a medium one, and another medium one. But the ones that are leaning to the side or all look a little similar, those are the ones that I used from the cottage living expansion pack, and I feel like it was a really nice mix. I would absolutely love more fall decor or just more seasonal decor, and I feel like the seasons expansion pack really touched on it, but it could have been so much more. Like, just with how much detail goes into building in The Sims, I would have loved just a little bit more. I know that might be asking for too much because the season's expansion pack is very involved. Like, it's a lot going on. So I would definitely understand, but I do want more, especially for this house. We're back outside, and this is where I had the brilliant idea of adding not a garage, but just a little place to park your car. And then, I go back in, and I love using this flooring because it gives more of a realistic feel to me. And with this, I do end up working on the transitional space first. So we end up adding, the little small rug there that we got from laundry day. And then I end up using the table that we got from, I think, Jungle Adventure, but I could be wrong. And this is where I start to really filter for the season's expansion pack, and I use a lot of things from that, not just the fall leaves and things like that, but just in general. So I do end up using some fall leaves here, and I do want to still make it seem like we just added decorations and that the house itself is very decorated. So I did have to move some things around there, but I do love the way that transitional space is, and it's just like, a small little centerpiece. So from there, we end up working on the kitchen, and in here, it's actually one of my larger kitchens because we have 2 full walls of cabinet space and then a beautiful, beautiful island. And I end up using the counters that we got from Jungle Adventure. I don't know why, it just worked, especially with looking at the exterior. These look like they would make sense to be in this house, and if it makes sense, why try to change it? So I do have to use that, and then I do end up using a few other things of decoration on the walls just to fill in some space. But I really love the way that this kitchen feels and how consistent it is with the outside. So of all the things, I really love this probably the most. It's a lot of decorations in here. I do end up using those streamers that we get from the season's expansion pack because, again, this is supposed to be a house that is overly decorated for the arrival of their family, so they have to make it seem like, this is a festive event and we're happy to have you here. So a way to do that is to really decorate it up. But I think, in my opinion, that the family that lives here, even if family wasn't visiting, they would still have a reason to bring out all of these decorations and go all out for Harvestfest, because fall is probably one of their favorite holidays, or, they just are really in love with Harvestfest because of all the food. Who knows? When I say that there are pumpkins everywhere, I quite literally mean it. I put so many pumpkins everywhere. I had to do this little, scene right next to the door and the tree. As soon as you walk in, you do get a closet, and then I do end up adding a little end table. I think that one we ended up getting from Cottage Living. The mirror is from Seasons, and I think the decorations on the wall are from Seasons, as well as the umbrella. So this is really nice. Again, had to put some pumpkins up on there, and I did want to use, like I said, a lot from Seasons, so I do end up using the end table, the small little end table, and then also some chairs, and then also some end tables here too. And I had to use it because you see they had like the pumpkins, the squash, daisies, like that is such a autumn or Harvestfest tablescape, and I feel like that's where they put all of the food for people to go and grab. And then I had to use one of these banquet tables, and I end up using a fountain on top of there, so you can end up putting, I think, probably chocolate or juice or something, I don't know, but you have options, and I feel like this family would definitely offer that to their family. So this is the dining room space. Again, a lot of Seasons in there. I really end up loving it. And now we're moving into the living room, and in here, again, I'm going for the vibe of like the house is very furnished in general, but when it comes to Harvestfest, they just add a bunch of things to it. to, go along with the holiday. So that is what we're going with here also. But I do love the idea of having a living room where there is a massive bookcase. And sometimes it doesn't work, especially if I'm adding like an office or something like that. But in this case, I really needed to fill up the space on that wall. On the other wall, we have windows and a few other things. But for this one, it makes sense to have a giant built-in bookcase, and that's what I wanted to go with. I end up adding a TV. We have some holiday cards. I do end up going back in a little bit later and adding some pumpkins in there as well. But I really love the way that this turns out. This is actually, like, I tell you this all the time, but this is probably one of my favorite builds, and I mean it. All of my builds are my favorite, but I had so much fun doing this because it was on a specific theme. I could envision the family that lives here. Once we get into the bedrooms and things like that, I'll go into more detail on who I think lives here, how many, and all those other things. But for right now, we're just working on this living space, and I love this living room because I'm able to add a little bit more in here. So I end up adding a gaming table, and this is very common in my family because whenever we're together, we like to play games, card games, things like that. And it's just a way to pass the time while you're waiting for food to, be done. So I do end up adding a little gaming table over to the side, and it's like a folding table with fold up chairs and stuff. I had to move some more of the furniture so that it makes sense, but in the end it really does look nice. And that's it for the living room. Now this is where we get into me building the sunroom. When I first started it, I didn't think I wanted that, but I needed something to break up the cleanness of the back. And so a way for me to do that would be to add a small sunroom to kind of break it up. And I do end up going for this color. I really love it. I take out some of the light, so then at night you are only going off of the light which is there. And so I do end up doing that, and also using this tree. And in debug they have some lights that I put around the tree. I have a bunch of pumpkins back there. Again, you'll end up seeing it because I'm building and everything, but I do end up really liking the backyard, and it kind of follows the same theme that we see in the front of the yard with pumpkins, and it being a festive theme. So I really hope you like it. I do try to do a lot of landscaping in this too. Now, does it make the most sense in some cases? Probably not, but it makes sense to me because this is a very big family, and they just want to have space for their family who is visiting to enjoy it. And this house is big enough for them to host their family, so they want to go all out. And who am I to say that you can't do something like that? You know what I mean? And I just really like to live vicariously through my Sims. Thank you. Now we've gotten to the point where normally this is just a office, and I end up using the desk and the chair from Seasons, but for this, it's supposed to be a kid's craft room. So I end up using a table and then some of the chairs that typically would go outside, like on the outside of the dining room, but they put it in here for the children. And so you can see there's crafts everywhere. They have some pumpkins in here also, and a little crafting station for the children. Now, I don't think that the crafting station is just there for this holiday because they actually have children that live here, but it makes sense for them to put it here because this is where the children will be spending most of their time, creating crafts and decorating more of the house. So I feel like this is really nice. I do end up adding some regular pumpkins in there too, but that is really what that looks like. Towards the end of the video, I do end up going back through and adding in a bunch of things for the walls, like wallpaper, paint, and things like that, so you don't have to worry about it. But here we are just adding a little bit more decorations in the kitchen because it's necessary. I end up adding like some things in the dining room also, like the little bags of groceries are so cute. I was really leaning towards using a cottage living wallpaper, but as you can see, I walked through it and I was like, that is so busy. It looks like a lot is going on. So I do end up having to tone it down, going with something a little bit more basic so that it doesn't take away the focal point of what we're trying to do, which is to provide a lot of Harvestfest decorations and things like that. And having a lot of things tailored to a theme, but then having to go back through and having a busy wallpaper, it confuses me. So I did not do that. Now, I do think it's possible for it to look really great, and it does in some instance, but I think for this one, the best case was just to go with something a little less loud, and that's what we ended up doing, at least in the whole house. You can see in the kitchen, we did have to go with a louder kind of, pattern for one wall, but I feel like it worked. And then I end up using some wall decals by the chair, as you can see, with a little rug. I feel like all of this is very necessary. I did want to add some windows right there, but it was not working, so I just add it over to the side, and from there we start working on the very first bedroom. And this is what I think the parents' bedroom, or the owners of the house bedroom, is. And it's two-parent household, so we have a lot of space here. I think the bed is from cottage living, but I do end up using a few things from a little bit of everywhere. Actually, I really like this. I do want to go for more of a warmer tone in here, really make it seem like, although the house is very transitional, a little bit modern, they still really like a little bit of vintage glamour or vintage feels. And this is a way to do that, especially with that older vanity. I definitely think it's vintage. I definitely feel like they probably got it from some person who upsells things after finding it and they were like, oh, it's just so amazing, and so they end up having it. And now we're moving into the laundry room. Now the laundry room is pretty small. I do end up using one of the dressers that you see right there. It looks like it has a lot of linens in it, so I do end up moving that outside and just having a washer dryer and some cabinet spaces here with a shelf space. Now we're working on the bathroom in the owner's suite, and in here it's just a tub shower combo, a sink, a toilet, mirror, and a little window. That's it. Originally, there is only 3 bedrooms, so we do have to find out where we can put some more of our family. This is where our Murphy bed comes into play, and we're using a lot from Tiny Living. But we're going to talk more about that in just one second. I want to finish up one of these bathrooms. This is actually the only other bathroom on this level. There are 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, but 2 of the bedrooms have to share 1 bath. So I did want to figure that out really quick. And now we're back outside, and I wanted to spend some time trying to, add some decorations to this hallway. We have the linen dresser. Now we have a little end table, a picture, a little plant, and of course some pumpkins. And I feel like adding it over to the side, and then this little mirror that we have right there, it just works. It's so beautiful. I really love making hallways speak to me, and that's one way of doing it. I would definitely want some more runners in the game, but because that's not possible right now, I'll take what I can get. This is bedroom number 2. We have 2 sets of bunk beds, but I actually think the family only has maybe 2 or 3 children that stay in there. I don't think they used up all of them, but they got more bunk beds because family visits. And now we're working on what we turned into the 3rd bedroom, but this is actually an office, and I do end up adding a few more things in there later. But for here, I do think they have 2 little girls or 3 little girls, and they end up having to bring in some sleeping bags and things because their family is staying here. So we have a toddler sleeping bag and then another child's sleeping bag, and it was really difficult trying to put everything I needed in that room with the sleeping bags just all up in my face, but I made it work. Now we're back outside where the Murphy bed is, and that desk that I am putting in that corner is actually the desk that goes in where I made the makeshift bedroom. And that's because the Murphy bed helps a little bit, but truthfully, No. So I do need to add a little bit of things. So I did need to make another bedroom, which meant moving the desk outside and, making a little bit more space for family, which they did not mind at all. So this is what this space looks like. I do love it. I do feel like I would love some more Murphy beds. I was on stream the other day and I was having a conversation and we were talking about how we would love to have more Murphy beds just in different styles because, the tiny living one only comes in one style. And I would definitely appreciate that, especially for this build. So that is all that goes in that room. Now we're working in here, and this is where, the desk goes. So this is actually an office, but I do end up making it so that it looks like we can have some people in there, and it's a double bed and a single bed. So I think, an immediate family can stay there. Now we're moving into this intentional third bedroom. So in total for this house, it has about 4 to 5 bedrooms, including the Murphy bed. But initially, it's really the parents' room, the girls' room, and this room. And I think this is for a teenager, but this teenager is actually visiting friends for this Harvestfest holiday. So they're letting their cousin and their infant child stay in their room while they're away. And although I know that this is just such a wild family dynamic to put in here, I needed something. I was feeling creative, and there's only so much I can decorate without a theme. So I had to make it a theme. And for this one, we're going for teenager who leaves and their family has to stay here. So I don't think the parents are in love with the idea of their child leaving for a holiday, but they are so close to graduating, they're allowing them to have their wings. And I go back through and add in a bunch of suitcases and backpacks and things everywhere to make it really look like, there are people that live here and there are people who are visiting, and those are all of their bags. So that is really it for this room. I do end up adding a few more things of decoration everywhere else, but this is really it. I actually love the way that the rooms turn out. My favorite thing is the communal spaces because you cannot mess with the communal spaces. They're just amazing. So that's it for that. I think I'm just going back in and adding in a bunch of decoration everywhere, finishing up some walls and things like that, and we're almost near the screenshots of this video. We just have a few more things to go. One of them is adding all of these pumpkins in the living room. This is something, again, I have to have pumpkins, I have to have leaves, I have to have decorations in almost every room that you look at, except for some of the bedrooms. So with that, we could not end the video without adding some festive cheer here in the living room. So I do end up spending some time to do that, but then we also have to go to the sunroom because back there we actually have a few more things of activities, but also they have a sunroom, so it's already decorated, and we have to spend some time doing that. In here, I end up going for a high top table that I end up using the bar stool chairs with. And then we have a seating arrangement that I end up creating from the Dream Home Decorator game pack, a foosball table, and a giant plant. I feel like that really utilizes the space in a way that makes sense for the family, but not only just the family that lives there, but the family overall. We also have a small little utility room that has more boxes so you can decorate the fences and things like that, and just add more decorations and lights and streamers in game. But here, we're just wrapping it up. I have to add some things everywhere. If you want to end up downloading this on the gallery, you can. My name is LynzloByChoice. If you like this video but also like the build, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I really hope to see you in the next video. We are finally going to screenshots. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed yourself because I know I did.
Chasing highs, yet always feeling low. I remember how you looked, one hello and I was hooked. Found the missing piece that made me whole. want you more. Tell me I'm forever yours. Let me know it as I stand before you. True love don't come round very often. It's like sunshine after the rain. But you know the moment it happens, everything will be okay.